Alrighty, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 6th of August, 2025. Flyers Daily, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. We are clicking through the days rapidly here at the beginning of August. It's the 6th already. I feel like we just flipped the calendar and it's already, not that we're that far into the month of August, but this is the longest non-hockey month of the year. 31 days. The heat of summer is wearing you out. You want to get back in the rink. You want to get the game back on the ice. In September, we'll start the captain skates. Not that far off is the rookie games, like 4.5 weeks until the rookie games, Flyers, Rangers, 5 weeks at PPL Center on that Friday and Saturday night, the 12th and 13th of September. And regular training camp, preseason, and a season around the corner. So this episode, I want to get to an email, some YouTube comments, and The Athletic and Kevin Kurz, who covers the Flyers for The Athletic, their fan survey. So we're going to have what is I'd call a little bit of how about an August night fireside chat? And I got a little prop there in the background. I got the fireplace on the TV. Doesn't it just feel warm and feel more like fall when you have a fireplace going, even though that's not really a real fireplace, but who cares? For the purpose of this, it's a fireside chat. And we're just going to kind of riff on this episode. The first thing I want to get to is from a couple episodes ago. Bill and I were talking on Monday's episode about the over-under for the Flyers and points. I saw a guy on the YouTube feed put a comment, said, where are you seeing that number of 76.5 points for the Flyers this season? I got that off of Vegas Insider and their NHL futures. He said that FanDuel and DraftKings have them at 84.5 or 83.5 points. So it depends on where you see it. I'm not sure if maybe DraftKings didn't update as recently, but we'll see where the Flyers are. I've gotten into this Chat GPT AI revolution. So I asked my Chat GPT last night in preparing for the episode, what will the Flyers record be like this season? And they kind of came in and around that 76-point mark. They said the current landscape and expert sentiment after finishing at 33, 39, and 10, 76 points last year. Analysts widely view this coming season as another developmental year, though potentially the final one in the rebuild phase. So the ChatGPT, they pull from all the different sources, talks about the additions, obviously, of Trevor Zegras, Dan Vladar, Christian Dvorak to help them with some depth issues. The top line is projected to feature, according to ChatGPT, Matvei Michkov, Travis Konechny, and Trevor Zegras, who has a lead upside, but requires chemistry and consistency. And then it has projected scenarios. The conservative expectation for the Flyers is that they'll have between 28 and 35 wins. The median estimate is that they'll be between 30 and 34 wins. And the optimistic or bold hope, as ChatGPT put it, is between 35 and 38 wins. So it says realistically, the takeaway summary is the Flyers are poised to finish with approximately 65 to 75 points, translating to 30 to 34 wins, and likely again on the outside looking in for a playoff spot. 75 to 85 points could come if goaltending stabilizes and the top line performs at elite levels, but that scenario hinges on a few ifs. We've got ifs. So that's basically what they're saying on ChatGPT. Again, artificial intelligence, is it better than the human intelligence? We'll see. But Nick had posted on there too, no way you take the over on the 76.5 that Bill and I talked about, because goaltending is a huge question mark. ChatGPT agrees with Nick. And he said they have to learn a new system. I think that's overrated, by the way. Defense is also a huge concern, in my opinion. I'd say 70 is where they're at. I'll tell you what, if they finish with 70 points, I'm going to be hugely disappointed. I'm just telling you now. I'm usually pretty conservative with my expectations. If they finish with 70 points this year, I'm really disappointed. If they do that, they're in the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. I got for sure. And that scares me if they're in that range, because they have a lot of money coming off the books next year. And to spend that money on the top players, you've got to show signs of growth. And if they have 70 points, that's not showing signs. That's signs of regression still. That's not signs of growth. And I've got a new take. Now, I'm not a guy that usually does takes. We've talked about, and Jonesy said it on this podcast a couple of times. I think he said it here first. It's important not to get the best available player, but to get the best players. Maybe the plan is with this free agent class next year of Connor McDavid so far. We'll see if they sign an extension before they actually hit free agency. Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, and Jack Eichel. Maybe that's not the target. Maybe the target's not a UFA. Maybe the target is the 27, 28, 29, and 30 first-round pick and an offer sheet to Hughes, to Quinn Hughes, who loved playing for Rick Tocchet in Vancouver. And if you're kind of ending your rebuild by acquiring a number one defenseman with a huge contract, you go for Quinn Hughes. You try and solve your center problem another way, either via trade, free agency, but maybe it's an offer sheet to a restricted free agent like Quinn Hughes. He'll be up as a restricted free agent next year, and so will Lane Hudson. So maybe that's the route. Maybe I'm misreading this thing when we've talked about McDavid or Eichel or Kaprizov. All roads lead to Kaprizov with the Russian connection. Maybe it's all roads lead to Hughes. Now, we know he wants to play in New Jersey with his brothers, but that's a big ask to have three brothers on one team. But it'd be real easy for the parents to come see the games if two of the brothers play in New Jersey and another one plays in Philadelphia. Maybe it's Hughes. Give me Quinn Hughes all day. Maybe that's part of 3D chess in hiring Rick Tocchet this offseason. I don't know. What say you? You buying into that? This is where this is why I hate off seasons, because this is where my friggin' brain goes. It does these things to me and presents these scenarios that I completely fall into. But maybe could be a reality. If you want that number one push the pace defenseman, there's few guys that are better at that than Quinn Hughes. Maybe one, Makar. I mean, and Quinn Hughes already played for Rick Tocchet, is on the record as loving playing for Rick Tocchet, who happens to be the Flyers coach. I don't know. Just saying. All right. Let's get to the number two subject here. Kevin Kerr in The Athletic does a great job covering the Flyers. Kevin actually worked for the Flyers back in the day in the PR department. He writes for The Athletic now, and they do their annual fan survey. It's the Flyers fan survey. And in the headline, it says, solid support for Briere, Tocchet, Michkov will be a star. And a big picture of Rick Tocchet there. So I encourage people, if you don't have The Athletic, get it. It's good coverage. It is a subscription, but check it out. Very good stuff. And this is a great article for you to start on if you're not a member just yet. This came out on July 31st. First of all, it says, many thanks to the more than 2,000 of you who took time to fill out a survey about a hockey team late in July. Let's get right to the results with some brief analysis. First of all, the first thing he talked about was the job that Danny Briere has done so far. 23.8% of the respondents, again, 2,000 plus people in this survey. It's pretty good. That's a pretty good sample size, mind you. 23.8% give Briere an A, 61.9% give him a B, 10.9% give him a C, 2.2% give him a D, 1.2% give him an F. So pretty good results. 63%, 66, 80, basically 87% of the fan base has him at a higher than an 87% have him higher than a B for the job he's doing. If we did this last year, I don't think it would have been even close to that. I don't know what the number was last year, but it wouldn't have been even close to that. I think people are starting to see the Briere plan start to take place because we just saw the subtraction before. And the one thing that Danny Briere, Keith Jones, and Dan Hilferty have really delivered on is doing exactly what they said they were going to do in that press conference at Wells Fargo Center when those three were introduced together. Hilferty, Keith Jones, and Danny Briere, the interim tag was removed and he was promoted to the official GM of the team. They've basically laid out this whole plan and have executed it pretty much to the T. That goes a long way, I think, with fans. It's being transparent without being transparent to your detriment by being too detailed in your transparency. How confident are Flyer fans in Danny Briere moving forward? 5 being the highest, 22.8% have him at a 5, 51.8%. So again, over 73% are confident in Briere moving forward to the degree of 4 or 5 stars. 16.8 at 3, 5.7 at 2, and 2.9 at 1. And Kevin says these results should delight the people in charge. Briere's earned high marks for the job he's done so far. Approximately 85% of the respondents gave him an A or B, and the vast majority of fans seem to trust him in the rebuild and to see it through. Now you couple that with the acquisition of Trevor Zegras, who's got a lot of high-end elite skill, and what you were able to give up to get that gets people, that perks them up. That perks them up. They talk about some things here with John Tortorella and the job he did in his 3 seasons as the Flyers head coach, almost 3 full seasons. 3% gave him an A, 34.9% gave John Tortorella a B, 47% gave Torts a C, and 11.5% gave him a D. They also asked, should Tortorella have been fired, or does he still deserve to be the coach? 91.4% said he deserved to be fired. Now, that's also with a lot of news cycles about some miscommunication, obviously what took place with Cam York. And look, Torts maybe played his hand fully through here in Philadelphia. But I think this organization is in a much better place because of what he came in and did. I think the element and the job that he did was a really important one for the long-term health of not only the team on the ice, but the organization, because it went beyond just being on the ice. Flyer fans were asked, when's the earliest they'll qualify for the playoffs? 17% said this year. 61% said next year. 27-28 said 18%. And 20-28 or beyond said 4%. We'll see. We'll see if they battle for a playoff spot. Again, that big ifs, like ChatGPT said, or like Nick said, goaltending is a huge question mark. That's a big part of it. As far as expectations from the fan base for Matvei Michkov, 47% said he's going to be a superstar, top 20 player in the NHL. And I saw some comments about, Bill and I talked about Michkov in the last episode. Will he lead the Flyers in scoring? I saw some comments saying if he doesn't lead the Flyers in scoring, that's a huge disappointment for Matvei Michkov. Listen, I think he's going to take a big step forward next year. And I think he's going to be close to a point per game player. Last year in 80 games, he had 63 points. But to sit there and think that he's going to be a 90 or 100-point player, I think if that happens, that'd be awesome, obviously. But look at a guy like Nikita Kucherov, and you want to see a guy that is obviously one of the 5 best players in the league right now. In his second year in the NHL, his first year he played 52 games, he had 18 points at 20 years old. This will be Michkov's 20-year-old season. Coming in 20, will turn 21 in December. In Kucherov's second year in the NHL, he had 65 points, his 21-year-old season. He had 29 goals and 36 assists. In year 3, he had 77 games played. He only had 66 points. Now he's 22 years of age. The year after that, he played 74 games and had 85 points. Then he played 80 games and had 100 points. Then he played 82 games and had 128 points. Then he played 68 and had 85. Then he had 47 games. He had 69, 82, 113, 81 games, 144 in the 23-24 season. And last year in 78 games, 121. So if Michkov doesn't get to be a point per game player next year, it's not this huge disappointment. I think you got to realize that it takes a while to become a massive star in this league. There are guys like McDavid who kind of do it right away and put up monster numbers, but that is so rare. That is so rare. And if you're going to heap that expectation on Michkov, I think it's unfair. I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and you're also setting yourself up to be miserable, because that shouldn't be the expectation this year. I really believe. I think that's putting too much of an expectation on him. Is he going to be a superstar? I think so. I think he's going to be a top 10 player in the league. Will he win a Hart Trophy and be an MVP? Maybe. The team's got to come together. A lot of things have to happen for that to happen. But thinking he's going to be a 90 or 100-point scorer this year is a little too much expectation for my liking. It's just too much. 43% of Flyer fans think he'll be a perennial all-star, so a notch below superstar. 8.7 think he'll be just a very good NHL player. I disagree. And 0.7 said that he will disappoint. He did lead all rookies with goals with 26, and fans do believe the sky is the limit for the 20-year-old winger. Which of the following Flyers will have the best career? And there's a list of Noah Cates, Jamie Drysdale, Tyson Forster, Owen Tippett, and Cam York. Now, these are kind of like comparing apples and oranges a little bit. Defenseman, offensive-minded defenseman, and Drysdale. Cam York, kind of a hybrid. Tippett, a scoring winger, very similar to Forster. Cates is a winger, he's center. But the one with the highest grade of optimism for the best career as a Flyer is Tyson Forster at 65.4%. He's probably the guy that I would put in there too, although I would value a defenseman maybe higher because of the position. And then last one that I'll get to here will be the grade of the Flyers offseason. 12.8% gave it an A, 64% gave it a B, 18.7% gave it a C, 2.9% gave it a D, and 1.3% gave it an F. I don't know how you give it an F. I really don't. One more. Was re-signing Travis Konecny to an 8-year contract last summer the right move? I'm surprised by this. This just shows the echo chamber of the vocal minority. 77.5% said it was right to sign Travis Konecny to an 8-year extension. That kicked in last year. 22% said they should have traded him. But if you went by social media, you'd think that was completely the opposite. You would think signing him would have garnered about 20% of the vote, and trading him would have been 80% of the vote. But that's a vocal minority. Vocal minorities are usually discontent, not happy, disenfranchised they feel. This is one of those situations where the vocal minority doesn't match up with the majority of thinking. I want to get to this one too. Which prospect drafted before this year are you most excited about? Denver Barkey got 5.7%. Bjarnason got 4.4%. He'll be with the Phantoms. Bonk got 13.6%. And Alex Bump got 22.7%. Of course, coming off a national championship. Jet Lachenko's in there at 31.5%. And Igor Zavragin, 22.2%. I guarantee of the 2,000 respondents, pretty much all of them haven't seen Zavragin play, but he's got great numbers and he's done a good job in his development. But he's not ready yet. Got to go with Vladar, Erson. We'll see how Fedotov, if he challenges for some games this year. What's the Kolosov situation? Does Bjarnason see an NHL? Huge question marks in that. And to go back to ChatGPT, a lot of ifs when it comes to goaltending in Philadelphia. Great stuff. Ed Bundage had emailed in and said, "Hey, Jason, thanks for sharing your journey with colon cancer. I have a friend who was diagnosed this week with the same and encouraged him to follow your time spent battling it. You look great these days, so keep fighting until the win." Ed. I had an appointment yesterday with my oncologist just to have them tap my little port here, take some blood, check my levels. Everything is moving along in a very good direction. I will have my next scans in the first week of October, and we are fingers crossed that we are going to be cancer-free. I will tell you, I feel cancer-free. I'm getting stronger every day. I still do have some rough days and rough patches within a day. But I'm thinking about your friend who was just diagnosed. And if he needs anything, have him reach out to me, give him my email, and I will help him in any way possible. And I will also tell everybody that my wife had a colonoscopy yesterday, and everything came out clear. There's obviously a little bit of PTSD for me when it comes to colonoscopies, because mine in December revealed that I had stage 3 colon cancer, colorectal cancer. But my wife had hers yesterday, a little younger than me, 47, and she is all clear. She doesn't have to go back for 10 years. So I'm very proud of her that she went and got it done, and so happy that she doesn't have to fight the fight that I've been fighting. And I hope everybody will go out, if you're 45 years of age or older, and get that colonoscopy and get that peace of mind. If you have to fight it, we bulk up and we fight. Ed also said, enjoyed your goalie segment with Kevin Woodley talking about the game situation and environment with the stats to back it up. Very enlightening and will change the way I watch the games. That's why I have Kevin on. Goaltending is one of the most misunderstood positions in sports. And it's obviously highly consequential. So anytime we can shed some light on the plight of the position and what goes into scoring goals and when it's a goalie's fault and when it's not. And I think that's always good. I think a more educated fan enjoys the game more. So anytime we can help peel back that curtain a little bit on something like goaltending, we're certainly going to take an opportunity and do it. So thanks for the email, Ed. Thanks for everybody for listening, for watching. We'll be back Friday. We'll have yet another. Hey, Ellen McCauley will be our guest, Flyers Assistant General Manager, on Friday. We'll have him join us for a brand new Flyers Daily.